Hello, everyone. My name's Diego Vera, founder of Self Learners. We're here at the last skill, self-directed learning in the age of AI at OCAD, and I'm here with
Alexander Galea.
Awesome, man.
Thanks, Diego.
All right, so let's get into it. So obviously you're an AI engineer. What is your current learning workflow when it comes to learning new things with AI?
My learning workflow is to establish a solid foundation in what I'm trying to learn. And generally, there's resources that are not AI that will help me do that. And then AI helps me adapt that general foundation to my specific needs, my exact use case. And then sort of at the end of the learning journey comes the coding agents. And this is what's totally revolutionizing software engineering right now.
Awesome. Yeah, and I have obviously the CTO of Self Learners. He uses coding agents all the time, so I kind of see it. I'd like to learn more about it, but yeah. So what's something difficult that you've recently learned?
I learned... Okay. So, okay. I learned, I'll talk about an agent harness that I learned about recently. It's called Pi. And I think what makes it difficult is that it's a kind of a new way of thinking about software, these coding agents. And so there are a lot more, with programming, we're very used to like declarative things. So you write code that behaves in an exact way, and every time you run this, it runs in a deterministic way. There, of course, can be randomness, but it's very deterministic. But language models are inherently random. There's noise, there's like randomness built in with the temperature settings and so on, and like they are actually random in how they function. And so agents kind of surface that in an interesting way where it's hard to 100% trust them. And so when I'm building with Pi, it becomes a little bit more soft, and you need to work with these coding agents in a way to almost treat them like they're people. And you almost can act and talk to them like they're people. So I think to wrap this question up, where I have just talked in a very strange loop, it's working with coding agents, and it's learning how to handle these in a way that's different than any other technology we've ever had before.
Awesome. How has your learning process changed from learning a subject, let's say like physics versus AI, coding, or language? How's your learning process different across those scenarios?
Okay, so how is the learning process different with, let's say, physics?
Yeah.
Language learning?
Yeah. And
then technology?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, language learning, I've had the ability to have a lot of resources available for me already out there. I think with language learning, to me, that is the most difficult because it's almost like an entirely new world that you need to immerse yourself in and understand. And for me, having the framework, Scott talked about this earlier in the night, and having this framework and pieced it out, like having it pieced out for you, I think is so important. And for language learning, I could not have imagined it without that. Also, the like spaced repetition and systems built like that. I don't know how I would tackle this on my own. With physics, my journey was much the same. It was like a structure where I was put into the structure. And with programming, this is where I've done the self-learning. My whole career, I haven't had many mentors or people who are teaching me or telling me how to learn. And so my approach has been completely learn by building. And I think if I think about all three and try to unify these things, it is applying the things. So it's not until you start applying it and thinking creatively about the things that you've learned and that you've heard that the learning starts to happen for me.
Awesome. That makes total sense. What do you love about self-directed learning, and how do you feel it's different from structured approaches, and in what ways?
Self-directed learning is amazing because you're in complete control of what you want. And you talked about actualizing, this self-actualization, understanding what you want. And once you know what you want, it is easy to do the right actions to get that. And I think with self-learning, yeah, it makes that possible once you know what you want. With the more conventional paths, I think they're for people who don't know what they want, or for people who aren't motivated enough. And I think coming out of high school, a lot of people don't really understand what they want, and they're frankly just not motivated, but they do have money. And so these conventional paths put them on a route for success despite their lack of motivation. But for people who have the right motivation, we don't need these systems anymore.
Awesome. What's one final message that you would have for those listening? Could be about learning, could be about something else. Hard hitting question.
Who's listening?
One message. Oh, could be lifelong learners, students, professionals. What's one message for them? Could be around learning, around tech, around something.
Yeah. Okay. My message is a little bit dark because, I believe in life we create a meaning for ourselves, and I think there's a lot of parts about life that don't make sense, and sometimes everything makes sense, and then it stops making sense, and suddenly nothing makes sense. But just understanding that that's all part of life, and that all is kind of how it goes, and knowing that it'll always come back around. And so I believe we can create our own meaning in life. And I think finding your own meaning is really important for having a life that you're satisfied with.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Diego.
All right.
Produced by All Day Beats Productions.